Hi, Patrick Infante here. I'm a retired professional headshot photographer. I actually sold my business a year or so ago. And through the years, I've done a lot of training for photographers on how to take really great headshots. But a topic that's not often covered, and certainly not covered enough, is what does the person in front of the camera, the person getting the headshot, what should they know? How should they prepare? There are a lot of things to consider to really get a great headshot. Now, some photographers are very good at bringing out the best expression, uh, helping you create the best possible headshot based on their direction and how they basically style the finished product. But oftentimes, photographers don't go through all the necessary steps and things you should be doing prior to getting your headshot. So again, this is for the non-photographer. This is for the subject, quote unquote, meaning the person getting the headshot. So let's go through that. Um, Now, you say, why are headshots important in today's business and work environments? And there's quite a few reasons. One is you have a lot of people returning to the workforce, especially people that lost their jobs or were laid off during COVID. You have people that you may have parents returning to the workforce after raising children. You also have just people that are job hunting, looking for a new job. That's a big thing right now. People wanting to change jobs for a better work-life balance, so on and so forth. And where these things are most important, all right, as far as job hunting and return to the workforce, believe it or not, is on sites like, and actually LinkedIn being the huge consideration for having the best possible headshot. Because as much as we think that we should be judged on our skills and experience, which we should be, many times, even perhaps maybe without realizing it, people make an initial judgment on the way someone looks. And that doesn't mean they have to have a certain hairstyle or whatever. It means that you need to be professional looking. You need to look approachable. And there's a huge difference between a professional headshot and one that someone takes with their iPhone. And if you go on LinkedIn, you can spot them right away. Another reason for getting a new headshot is it might be your current headshot might be good, but it's old and outdated. Maybe you have a change of appearance. Maybe you're older, etc. Also, if you're a business owner, 85% of new business is initiated online. People do business with people, and people hire people. There was a LinkedIn study, and the results of the LinkedIn study revealed that over 90% of viewers, people viewing profiles on LinkedIn, went directly to the photo. That was scientifically performed, and they spent, the viewer spent over 19% of their time staring at the photo. All right. It may not have been an intentional act, but this is what happened. And it was a study that was conducted with over 100 recruiters being the viewers of the profiles on LinkedIn, and that was the result. So it's very important to consider these things, and headshots are extremely important. Especially today, everything's online. You also may need a headshot for your Zoom call if you're not using a live camera and you only have a headshot representing yourself on a Zoom call. You want that photo to look great as well. And your image should be professional. It should show confidence, but yet it should demonstrate approachability. Okay. So basic types of headshots. Basically, we're looking at, three basic types are business and work headshots. There's actor headshots and modeling headshots. Right now, we're talking about business/work headshots. And again, who are these for? These are for job seekers, small business owners, people that work for large companies, or solo entrepreneurs. Basically, you're selling yourself or you're selling your service, and you need to present yourself in the best possible light. Again, experience, education, very important, but the initial interaction is typically your photo on a job site, and especially, again, on LinkedIn. Very important. So which industries and professions are best suited for headshots? This is a big list here. Basically, what I'm trying to say is everyone. Whether you're a realtor, an attorney, or an IT consultant. Technical people might think that they don't need a great headshot because they're a great coder or a great project manager or a great technical person that can troubleshoot problems. Again, that's the first thing that a recruiter is looking for and they see is your image. And it's going to tell them, gee, okay, this is a professional looking person. It's right at the top of the page. They can't miss it. It's just a matter of fact. As much as we might not think that that's the way it should be, that is the way it is. So we need to realize that. So what's a headshot? The difference between a headshot and a portrait, because I get asked this question a lot. Headshots are cropped no lower than the chest and ideally a little bit higher. All right. Sometimes do that for certain styles. Some photographers may chop off the top of your head a little bit or crop out a shoulder. Cropping out a shoulder is typically advantageous when the person might be a little heavier and wants to present themselves in a different fashion. So sometimes they'll cut off a shoulder so the person won't look at as broad. That may or may not matter to you, but these are things that are done in the industry. They're just facts. I'm not judging or making any opinions of my own. These are the facts. Portraits, on the other hand, are either, we call them 2/3 or 3/4 shots. They extend down to the waist and sometimes include hands, but hands can be awkward. You don't want hands in the photo. In fact, you don't want a portrait. You want a headshot. Now, we got to keep it real, right? And we got to avoid what I call the bait and switch. So what's that? That is the photo that the recruiter or prospective employer sees is not the person that walks through the door on the first day of work or for the interview. All right, that's really bad, and it kind of takes away that level of trust where, well, you don't look like the person I saw online. Perhaps what else are you not telling me? They may never verbalize that, but you need to be aware of these things. The average life of an adult's headshot is about 3 years. It's not 30 years. You'll see people using headshots that are many, many years old. And you're going to be in a situation where you got this bait and switch. It's not good. Now, you'll have to, 3 years might be a long time if you're, changing your hairstyles dramatically, or you're wearing and not wearing glasses. Maybe you weren't, and now you are. Maybe your hairstyle has changed significantly, or maybe your hair color has changed. These are all reasons to get a new headshot. All right. Overall, you need to look like the person in the picture. So, what are the most basic considerations as far as what your photo should tell? What story should it tell? And when the person viewing the photo, what should they be able to ascertain from just looking at your photo? Well, connection with the person, with the viewer. It's eye contact with the viewer. And that comes by looking directly into the camera. The photographer should be telling you that. Sharp focus on the eyes. The eyes are the focal point. Some headshots might purposely take the back part of your head near your ears and make that slightly out of focus. That's a style. But the eyes always need to be in focus. You need to be photographed on a non-distracting background. Typically, a medium gray is very, very popular for business headshots, employee type headshots. Nothing crazy, fancy background. Those are more for actors, models, and stuff like that. Also, another consideration is you should be absent of all jewelry. No earrings, no necklaces. And the reason for that is, well, there's a couple. First of all, it's distracting for the viewer. Second of all, it may date the photo. You may be wearing some jewelry you love today and hate a week, a month, a year from now. Okay. Also, no bare arms or really low tops. And the reason is that it's been studied where if you have bare arms, a short sleeve shirt or a blouse with short sleeves, eyes instantly go to bare skin. A study's been done. That's what it shows. And that's not what you want. You want the person to be able to look at your photo and go right to your eyes, because your eyes will speak for your photo. That's where the approachability, the confidence, that's where that should be shown. No distracting patterns or colors. Again, it distracts from your eyes. Your eyes tell the story. And no shiny or bright colored lip gloss or lipstick. It's just creates a weird reflection in the photo. It's distracting, so don't do that as well. What's the most important thing is expression. You need to make sure that your photographer is not only a good headshot photographer, but also an expression coach, getting the most natural expressions from you, not forced smiles, not forced laughter. You don't really want to be laughing in a headshot. You want a nice, professional, cordial smile. Some people will smile with their teeth, some people don't. It's just a matter of the person's, the way they naturally look or are capable of smiling in a certain way. But it's all about expression. A good photographer, and you need to ask your photographer if he or she is also an expression coach. And they should know what that means. Expression is what it's all about. And you want a really bad headshot? Then you just break all the rules, right? You don't look down the barrel of the camera, down the lens. You don't make eye contact. Your eyes are not in focus. You have a distracting background, lots of jewelry, bare arms, really low tops, wear lots of distracting patterns. You get the idea. Don't do this. This is the do not do list. Now, the technical concerns. What type of background is best? I just mentioned that. Typically a medium gray. That is the most professional background that we'll see today. You might see white, pure white. White can work. It depends on where the photo is going to be used, but sometimes the white will blend in with the background and it'll look like your head is just kind of floating on the page. So you want to keep that into consideration as well. Camera angle and body position is which is what is preferred. That really depends. Typically, some people look good straight on. Some people look better slightly turned and then turning the neck back to the camera. But another thing to be aware of is you don't want to have it where you turn your neck back so far that you create neck wrinkles. And your photographer should know about that, and you now know about that, and should make sure that you bring these things up to the photographer. Don't be afraid to speak to the photographer on how you want your photo to look. Obviously, he's the expert, she's the expert, but you need to be the educated subject. Now, should your headshot be retouched? Minor retouching. Anything that's temporary blemishes, things like that. Anything that's permanent typically should stay in place. If you have an identifying mole or some other thing, and it's part of you, it should stay. Again, you don't want the bait and switch. You don't want the model shot. You don't want the skin that looks like porcelain, because people really don't look like that. If you're older, own it. All right? If you have some wrinkles, own it. It shows experience. It shows honesty. And what's the best size and shape for your image? You'll have a variety of choices. You're typically not going to get them printed, but there are various resolutions that you'll want to speak to your photographer about. And the file formats, your photographer will know. Typically, it'll be a JPEG format, although there may be times where you need a different format for a different reason. Again, those are things your photographer should know. Now, as I mentioned, those are all the things to touch on. And I did write a guide. I call it a book, but it's really a guide. It's only about 15 pages. It's available on Amazon as a Kindle ebook. And if we take a look at what's in the table of contents, one of the things I talk about is the professional photo studio. And the reason why I bring that up is because most people unless you've had a headshot before professionally. Most people have not been in a professional photo studio, in front of professional lighting, in front of a professional camera. And sometimes people can get a little uptight, nervous about that. So I talk about what makes up a professional photo studio, what it might look like. There's an example of one in the book, in the guide. So it gives you an idea what to expect when you walk in. I have an entire section on what to wear, both for men's clothing choices and women's clothing choices. You will be quite amazed at how choice in what you wear plays a big part in how your headshot will look. Obviously, we're only talking about your top. It doesn't matter. Your headshots, crop chase from the chest up. But there are important factors to consider, both for men and women, when making clothing choices. And a good idea, too, and I discussed this, is to bring multiple clothing choices with you and go through it with the photographer. But there are things to do and things you shouldn't do, and I discussed that. Hair and makeup, big question comes up. Mostly for women, sometimes for men, is should I get my hair done? Should I have makeup done? And there are considerations that I speak about as far as the pros and cons of doing that. As far as eyeglasses, should I wear them? Shouldn't I wear them? There's considerations there as far as whether you should wear your glasses and how it makes you look, whether it's how you normally look or don't normally look that way if you only wear your glasses sometimes. But there are considerations with eyeglasses. There's some technical considerations too, and I go through that in the book as well. And also about, have a section on catching some sun, meaning what to do if you've been in the sun and then you decide to go and get your headshot. So let's say it's you're in a section where it's typically people are at the beach and stuff in the summertime, depending on where you live, and you have a suntan or a sunburn, and you're getting your headshot, maybe after the summer, after a vacation, or even in the winter after you went on to an island or something like that. There are things to consider if you have now a suntan, a sunburn, which seems more negative, but even if you have a suntan, there are things to consider too as far as what things you should be doing a day or 2 days before you get your headshot, as far as hydrating and brushing and resting, as well as back to hair and makeup for a second. It talks about when is the best time, if you're a man especially, when is the best time to get your hair cut. Should you get it the day before? Should you get it a week before? I discussed that as well. And also talk about image delivery as far as how you should receive the images from the photographer, how they should be cropped. And this is something you'll discuss with your photographer. Again, my book or my guide is called Guide to the Perfect Headshot. It's about 15 pages. It's about $9 as a Kindle ebook on Amazon. And the link to it is down below in the description. And I hope you take a look at my book. It is very valuable. It's information that typically no one tells the person getting the headshot. There are tons of books on telling photographers how to take headshots, but there are few, if any, books on how to explain to the subject, to the person getting the headshot, what they should be doing, how they should be preparing. So that's pretty much it. I hope you got something out of my short presentation here. I sure hope you'll take a look at my book, maybe pick up a copy, and if you have any questions or comments down below, I'll be glad to read them and respond. Thanks very much. I hope you have a really, really great time getting your headshot, and remember, it's one of the most important things you can do for your career. Take care. I'll catch you in the next video.